Okay, well, Minorikawa. This is a Chunsoft game. Yeah, it's a Spike Chunsoft, alright. Ugh! Ah! Because I'm in love with this game. It's so good. It's had so many twists that I have not been able to predict. And I'm not going to say that I'm so smart that I can't predict twists, but some games like really telegraph them, you know? But this game has been consistently throwing me curveballs that aren't out of nowhere, that like you can see where this is going and it all connects backward. This is the writer for this was just weaving it so masterfully. I love it. Anyway, we're gonna go back to Minorikawa with Achi not dying. Hey, Minorikawa said, yeah, let's just go through this. Already seen it. Yeah, you're gonna enjoy something. You gotta get yourself a weapon, yeah. There are just better weapons than that. Man! Some games, stories, and TV shows really telegraph things, but every Spike Chunsoft visual novel I've seen played are like this. And yeah, it's all like the same group of people. Like the guy that's Kodaka, who made Danganronpa, the writer for the Nonary games, and this guy, or whoever wrote this game, are all friends, and they all work for Spike Chunsoft. They're all very twisted people, but they write such good stuff. God. It also makes sense that they all know each other. Uchikoshi, right. Okay, so we're not gonna hit. Taxi stop just outside Heaven Publishing. So good news, since we didn't rush after those punks, we are not getting hit by a taxi, and we are going to continue Minorikawa's story. Minorikawa left a 1,000 yen bill on the seat and exited the cab. He was stumbling his way toward the building when someone called out to him. Mr. Minorikawa! Huh? Hey! What the heck are you doing out here? They're all evil, that's what. They can't do that to my heart. Yeah. For a moment, Minorikawa didn't recognize the man who now idling his sedan at the curb. When he took a closer look, he realized it was Kenji Osawa. Yeah, so we can't do a jump right now because we didn't do Osawa's story yet. Oh, Mr. Osawa. Sorry, but I haven't been able to look into that thing you asked about yet. I see. That's quite alright. Osawa looked pale and haggard. Minorikawa's reporter's senses started tingling. This guy's the key to something. He recalled what he heard the detective and his buddy talk about back at the scene of the explosion. Roughly 8 hours ago, they infected Maria Osawa with the UA virus. If we don't administer Kenji Osawa's antiviral before she develops symptoms... Yeah, everyone in Shibuya is gonna die! You're caught up in something big, aren't you? How do you know that? Because, the reporter said simply, I'm Minoru Minorikawa! Osawa rolled his eyes. Well, that'll make this simpler, I guess. Get in. I'll tell you everything. Minorikawa hesitated. This might be his big chance to land beyond incredible scoop. Yet it felt like it was too late to matter. Still landing a major story, selling out an issue of 4-star general gossip, and putting Heaven Publishing on the road to solvency, all that was the least he could do in Toyama's memory. You don't drop a story until you have what you need. Maybe it was too late to save Toyama. But Minorikawa got in the car. Hopefully, Osawa tells us that it was Tanaka in the van and not Toyama. Osawa's tale is beyond anything Minorikawa had imagined. So, they send you threatening emails, devise a plan to kidnap your daughter in order to get the antiviral, and now that's failed, they're turning to bioterrorism. Finally, Minorikawa was able to flesh out the story behind the conversation he'd overheard earlier. As he did, he could feel a growing sense of exhilaration. So basically, they're now effectively holding all the people in Shibuya hostage and demanding the antiviral, is that it? For Osawa, the answer, a new idea occurred to Minorikawa. Wait, hold on. Why didn't they just start by holding the whole city hostage? Yeah, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I couldn't get ads to leave. One sec. I'm gonna take a tea break. Give me a moment. It's actually very good tea. I really enjoy the Earl Grey tea. You're back. Welcome back. Okay. Why didn't they just start by holding the whole city hostage? Why did they need to go through all the trouble of kidnapping your daughter? I don't know, Osawa said, shaking his head. Perhaps they wanted the ransom money? For a mere 50 million yen? I can't imagine international terrorists bothering for that much. You can't know how terrorists think, Osawa spat. Let's just assume, though. Could there be some other reason they abducted your daughter? Osawa didn't reply. He probably is too preoccupied with finding a way to save his infected daughter to think about anything else. Still, something about the course of events didn't quite add up to Minorikawa. But whatever the case, the criminals were after the Zandaviral, and sticking with Osawa ought to bring him closer to the truth. Minorikawa was still mulling that over when they arrived at the laboratory. Laboratory! Whoa! Two men hopped out of the car and were immediately rushed by a pair of security guards who subdued them in a matter of moments. Hey! Minorikawa protested. What the hell is this? Unhand me, Osawa yelled. I'm Kenji Osawa. This is my lab. But evidently, that didn't matter to the guards. Uh-oh. Another man emerged from the building. He and Osawa exchanged a few brief words. Judging from the tone of conversation, this is someone who outranked Osawa at the company. Take him away. Uh-oh. As the newcomer looked on, the guards dragged Osawa into the building. Hey! Minorikawa shouted at the man as he began to walk away. Don't you know what's going to happen to Shibuya? Don't you care? If you just stand by and let the people of the city die, Okoshi Pharmaceutical is going to be held responsible. The man stopped in his tracks. If that happens, you'll be ruined personally too, Minorikawa added. You know I'm right. That will be up for the police to decide. You're going to regret this. Don't be a fool! Minorikawa's resolve was unwavering. His pen would mete out justice. He might have come close to forgetting what he once stood for, but now the old fire was back. Instead of working on researching the writers for this game, one of the writers is Kinoko Nasu, who wrote Fate series. Wow. I see. It seems this isn't something to leave unchecked. Uh-oh. The man gestured with his jaw. Take him as well. No! More security guards surrounded Minorikawa. Hey, stop it! Let me go! But though he struggled fiercely, there was no escape. Once he was dragged through those laboratory doors, Minorikawa never wrote another article again. Oh my god! We were just murdered by Big Pharma. Can't believe it. Can't believe we were just murdered by Big Pharma. How the heck are we supposed to do anything about that? Detained at the lab. Minorikawa accompanied Osawa to the lab, but there was no getting past the security guards, and even if Osawa can't get into his own lab, there's no real reason to go there. It's Osawa who needs to decide on a different course of action here. Ah. Okay, so now we head over to Osawa and try to stop another bad ending from Minorikawa's route. We seem to run into those a lot. Alright, sir. It's your time. I don't know. I don't want to know how people feel. All I want to know is what viruses feel. I prefer viruses because they make no move to encroach on me from the other side of my microscope. They leave me free to let my thoughts wander as I wish. Pretty sure the point of viruses is to do exactly the opposite of not encroaching upon you. And while it may be true to say I understand viruses, I've never been able to understand my fellow humans. I don't know them. I don't know a single fundamental thing about them. Excuse me. With Tanaka dead, trying to use the backup passwords for the fingerprint scanner had become a hopeless endeavor. The only remaining means of gaining entry to the storage area was to issue an emergency unlock request to the electronic lock manufacturer. In order to do that, they need approval from the 6 members of the board of directors. Yeah, that ain't happening. Turning to his study, Osawa called Makino's personal cell phone. What is it? Makino said gruffly as soon as he picked up. Osawa informed him of the situation, including Tanaka's death and the fact that Maria was infected. The news left Makino at a loss for words. Please, Osawa begged. You need to hold an emergency board meeting. Makino was silent for a few moments. I'm afraid I can't do that. Why not? Are you just gonna sit by and let my daughter die? Osawa raged. And not just her, if Maria goes symptomatic. Maria goes symptomatic. There's still only an if, but Osawa was reluctant to put his fear into words. If she goes symptomatic, the Uwa virus will sweep through all Tokyo. I realize that, Makino replied, but one of the board members is overseas on business. Holding a meeting is impossible. Despite the gravity of the situation, he sounded astoundingly nonchalant. Osawa couldn't back down now. There must be some other option, like a web conference or something. Doesn't help us if we can't get in touch with him, Makino huffed. He went missing a few days ago in the middle of a business trip. The head of Akoshi Pharmaceuticals' New York branch has been missing since April 25th, 9 p.m. local time. There have been no demands for ransoms. The New York Police Department is investigating the possibility of some other form of foul play. Oh no! So I was almost too appalled to be angry. That's the most ridiculous lie I've ever heard. Would you like to speak to my on-site contact if you don't believe me? It's like arguing with a child. Makino was deliberately working against him. He'd never know if this disappearance was real or not. In that case, can you please appoint a representative in his stead? Osawa pleaded. Selecting a representative is a complicated process. Even if we started right now, it would take until sometime tomorrow afternoon to complete. Heckin' bureaucracy, am I right? Why do something now when you can take 20 to 50 years to do it instead? Hi, I'm every corporation and the government. By then it would be too late for any of this to matter. Sir, can't you see how absurd the things you're saying are? What would you have me do? Makino barked. These are the realities of corporate politics. I understand, sir. You will do nothing for my daughter. That's what you're saying. That's not what I'm saying, Makino replied. Look, I'll see what I can do to appoint a representative more quickly. He hung up. Where are we getting ready to quit this company and move to LA or something, a different company? His tone had suggested that waiting for an appointee wouldn't be a terribly hopeful prospect. I have no more allies, Osawa thought. All I have left now are foes. Couldn't count on anyone. Osawa was just going to have to get to the Andromeda by himself. He'd have to take Makino at his word. Right now, it was only course of action. Okay. So this is the one that leads to bad things happening, as far as I know. So let's try the other one. Still, he'd just have to take Makino at his word. Right now, that was his only course of action. Because heading to the company doesn't end well for us. Osawa sat down in front of his computer and quietly closed his eyes. If only I could just go to sleep and wake up tomorrow morning and find all of this resolved. All I'm asking for is a miracle. But he knew reality would never be so kind. He could hold his eyes shut as long as he wanted and wouldn't make this hopeless situation go away. Yeah, from what we saw, that's the bad end. He felt anxiety welling up inside him until it seemed like he was going to explode. Needing a distraction from his helplessness, Osawa opened up the Ayanet. He knew this was mere escapism, but he couldn't just sit and do nothing while waiting for Makino to call back. Post a new topic with the title, I Have Fortune Teller. So we found out last time that Detective Kano's prospective father-in-law is that honey person that's on the forums here also. I tried the Eye of Fortune Teller. My results basically said I was a bad person who can't connect to the people around me. And you know what? That's exactly right. I'm only interested in my own little world. That's probably why my wife and my assistant at work got so fed up with me. I miss forums. I used to be one of those people that was actually active on some forums, like way back when. It's a very different feel than like a Discord server or a social media site, because you just start a topic and then maybe people post on it. It's so weird. It's so different. It's the same with my two daughters. What sort of things are they interested in? Do they have a lot of friends? What are their aspirations for the future? I don't know any of those things. Sewer reactor forums back in 2006. Yeah, this is when I was in like late middle school, early high school. It never occurred to me to find out. I'm such a terrible father. I don't even remember what forums I was on. I know I was on the game FAQs. Oh, look at them. Thank you, Stream Elements. Osawa fingers ceased their tapping on the keyboard as he thought back to when Marie and Hitomi were younger. Daddy, Daddy! The two girls would follow him around like a pair of puppies. Their father was their everything. That much was clear by looking at their faces. He felt a ticklish giddiness at having his girls cling to him so. I was on super cheats. Where's another one? I'm pretty sure it was something video game related, but for the life of me, I just cannot remember. He felt a ticklish giddiness as having his girls cling to him, so he never felt anything like this in his life. There were times when he also found it tiresome. I'm sick of being the person I am. There's nothing I can do about that, though. I'm sure it's far too late for me to change. It's never too late. He poured all his negative emotion into his post. It felt like a stream of consciousness drivel, but he didn't hesitate to write it down all the same. That second part is just me on Twitter. He wanted other people to know exactly what a miserable excuse for a human being he was. At last, when he couldn't think of anything else to add, he posted his bitter confession to the forum. He is staring numbly at the monitor when he hears a furious shout from the next room. You've got to be kidding me! That was Kajiwara, and Osawa never heard him so angry. Really? That was Kajiwara? Since when does Kajiwara shout? Osawa headed into the living room and found Kajiwara embroiled in a vehement argument with the other detectives. I don't care what HQ's policy is. I will not just quietly go along with this. Kajiwara had already screamed himself red in the face. You're out of line, snapped one MPD detective. Keiichi Sawatari, with the Metropolitan Police Department's first criminal investigation section. Having heard of Kajiwara's past deeds from friends at the Shibuya precinct, he recommended to his boss that Kajiwara be assigned to investigation at Osawa residence. After seeing the detective's interactions with Osawa, he is confident that recommendation was in the right. However, given the circumstances, he can't help but take a cold stance towards Kajiwara. So he admits that Kajiwara has been doing a good job here. Hold your tongue. I don't care if I'm out of line. You may have talent, I'll give you that, the other detective said, but you're a precinct detective and this isn't your jurisdiction. It's not your place to question orders from higher up. Wait, Osawa thought. Kajiwara really is a real detective after all? Go on, explain the situation to Mr. Osawa. Kajiwara bit his lip in frustration at the other detective's order. Very well, he said. Before he could say more, Osawa noticed that the policeman equipment had all been cleared off the table. Hold on, Osawa said. What's going on? Has something happened? Allow me to explain, sir, Kajiwara said. His bitterness showed plainly on his face. We've been recalled, sir. The MPD has established a security force headed by the members of the Public Security Bureau to deal with the bioterrorist threat. Because the kidnapping task force has not yet found Maria, and she is infected with the virus, the task force personnel have instead been absorbed into the security force and will continue their work under its direction. Ah. Osawa narrowed his eyes, fighting to keep the confusion from his face. What do you mean by that? He was shaking, terrified to have his suspicions confirmed. I'm truly sorry, sir, for having been unable to help you. Kajiwara gave a deep and solemn bow. But Maria... What's going to happen to Maria? Another unit has been tasked with bringing your daughter into custody, sir. That much at least Osawa could process. You're going to place her under quarantine, aren't you? Kajiwara's lips stiffened, but he nodded. In order to minimize the spread of the virus, so I'm told. No! Osawa cried. You can't do that! If you do, there won't be any way to save her. His head spun. Please, I beg of you, you need to get Maria to me. I might be able to save her. Kajiwara didn't respond. He turned to the other detectives. Please, don't... You can't place Maria under quarantine. The detectives' only answer was to avert their eyes. Why are you all ignoring me? Please, you have to listen. If you bring her to me, I can figure something out. I know I can. He plunked himself down on the floor, yelling and flailing his arms like a child throwing a tantrum. The detectives exchanged sullen looks with one another and then walked off and left him there. He knew it must be a sorry sight, but nevertheless he kept shouting after them. Please, don't stand by and let my daughter die! Man. Heartless. I thought Kajiwara was just a weirdo. I thought he was a bad guy, actually, but he's just weird. And he carries bananas around for some reason. Only Kajiwara remained with him in the living room. I'm sorry, sir. This was beyond my ability to stop. He gave another apologetic bow. Osawa felt suddenly deflated. No, you've done a fine job, Detective Kajiwara. It's me who should be sorry. I've made such a disgraceful display of myself. That's not true, sir. In fact, I'm deeply moved. I can tell how much Maria must mean to you. Osawa shook his head. If I'd really been thinking about Maria, I would have made an effort to work with you detectives more. That was all just self-absorbed shouting. A moment of emotional selfishness. And yet, as a result, you convinced me to stay here with you. Kajiwara proceeded to pull out his phone and put in a request at the task force headquarters to remain at the Osawa residence. He got into a heated spat with his commanding officer, but ultimately received permission to stay on as the police liaison with Osawa. Well, the detective said when he hung up, you see, there are some people who are legitimately moved by a parental display of emotion, even if I'm not certain that I can do very much in staying here with you. It's not true, Osawa replied. There's plenty you can help me with. He looked into Kajiwara's face and smiled. For instance, I can have a banana whenever I want. You can find things that got missing. That fried egg on rice you made. Nah, I'm going with the banana option. I can have a banana whenever I want. Kajiwara returned Osawa's grin even more brightly. Yes, yes, of course. By all means, have as many as you like. He then produced a pair of bananas from his pocket, holding one to his companion. How the actual heck does he keep on producing bananas from his person? I don't want to know. But why? And how? Osawa peeled his banana and took a hearty bite. The mild sweetness was pleasant and soothing. It was a flavor that brought back memories. I often eat bananas when I go to the park with my daughter, Kajiwara muttered between mouthfuls. Didn't realize you had a daughter, detective.
She just started grade school this year.
Oh really? She must be adorable.
Well, I don't get to see her as much as I'd like.
A lonely sort of smile crossed Kajiwara's face. Why's that?
Doing this job caused me to neglect my family. Finally, about 2 years ago, my wife hit me with the divorce paperwork. I wanted to be able to keep our daughter with me, but, well, the law tends to favor the mother when it comes to custody issues.
The detective then pulled two bars of chocolate from his pocket.
Good to have something sweet when you're exhausted, he said.
Sawa took one but said nothing.
More recently, my ex-wife has been talking about getting remarried,
Kajiwara continued.
And she wants me to stop seeing our daughter.
He bit into his own chocolate bar with a soft snap.
It's no less than I deserve, but it still hurts.
Oh, Sawa couldn't help but sympathize. The man was losing his daughter. We're not going to talk about the fact that he had 2 bananas and 2 chocolate bars in his pockets. Here was someone he could really talk to. He was sure of that much now. Detective, I apologize. It is heartbreaking. I've been keeping things from you because I was worried that they involved classified corporate information.
Oh?
Kajiwara's eyes glimmered with interest. Earlier today I received some emails. They could be pertinent to the case.
Would you mind letting me see them?
Sawa shook his head. On the contrary. Back in front of his computer, Osawa saw that IANet was still open. Pretty Honey had responded to his forum post. Okay, so Pretty Honey is Kano's gruff former police chief father-in-law man. One moment, just let me read this. No, I need to read it. One moment, just let me read this. Osawa read the response. I got that same result.
Yeah, do you really think it's too late?
Don't give up hope. Hang in there. It's never too late. Every family has its share of problems. Like, you'll never find one that doesn't, I'm sure. When it comes to family, there's no such thing as game over. So don't let it get you down. Julie. Besides, I did learn one thing from reading your post. In the end, a father's happiness is his daughter's happiness. I mean, we did have that breakthrough with Rumi's dad. Kajiwara peered into the monitor.
A young girl is posting to a forum for people 40 and older?
It's Pretty Honey. She always replies to my threads.
The detective furrowed his brow. I see.
Is something the matter?
No, that last line there just has me curious is all. A young girl writing something like that. Well, that's neither here nor there right now.
Yeah, he's like, that's not a young girl.
Let me see those emails if you would.
Sawa opened his email. He pulled up the images of the human testing on the monitor.
What is this?
Kajiwara stared at the monitor as if unable to look away. These are images from an unauthorized clinical testing of the antiviral drug I developed, carried out by my company without my knowledge.
Images of a... I'm sorry, what was that?
The detective frowned at the unfamiliar terminology. In simple terms, the antiviral is a wonder drug to combat the UA virus.
Hold on. Maria is infected with the UA virus, isn't that right?
Yes, UA is a species of virus discovered in South Africa relatively recently. Roughly 12 hours after infection, patients develop a cough, then a fever, then begin vomiting, and ultimately begin to bleed uncontrollably from all over, resulting in death. The mortality rate is... Sawa was reluctant to say it. Kajiwara held his breath, waiting. It's nearly 100%. Kajiwara shuddered.
But wait, he said after a moment. If you have this wonder drug, then Maria...
Sawa shook his head. Without Tanaka, I have no means of getting it out of the lab. Kajiwara's frown deepened.
I see. It may not be much to go on, but I think we could put together at least one piece of our little mystery here.
Mystery, something difficult or impossible to explain. An enigma. You see plenty of books titled The Mystery of Such and Such or The Secret of Whatever on bookstore shelves, but when you read them, you're invariably disappointed by the mystery not being that mysterious after all. Kajiwara's face, yeah.
Pardon me one moment.
Kajiwara inspected the email address of the sender, A, then brought up the mail header.
You don't see email addresses like this much. It's seemingly from a foreign country, but that may be fake.
You could tell that just from the email? The detective flashed a little grin.
Take a look here. So if we just do this, and then this... His fingers flew over the keyboard, calling up the header details, singling out the received from field. This set of 4 numbers at the bottom is the sender's IP address. Think of it as an ordinarily hidden location marker of sorts. As he spoke, the detective pulled up a website called IP Station. He copied and pasted the set of 4 numbers and pressed the enter key. The monitor showed the name of the provider, connection method, and other such details. A vendor that provides an internet connection service. A typical internet connection requires a dedicated line. Customers who do not already have one must make a contract for one with the provider. When the provider establishes your connection to the internet, you are assigned an identifying number such as called an IP address. Internet provider address. Osawa couldn't make heads or tails of most of it, but one thing drew his eye. Access point, Shibuya Ward, Tokyo. Kajiwara went into the email program's options and checked the server info for Osawa's connection. Deep furrows formed in his forehead. This is the same provider that you use, Mr. Osawa. Tanaka sent those emails. What does that mean? What kind of internet connection do you have here at your house? What sort? Well, it's plugged in over there, but Osawa pointed out the router. And does everyone in your family use that same line? Yeah, I think so. Kajiwara opened up a command prompt and then type in ipconfig. A literal prompt for users to issue computer-controlled commands via keyboard instead of mouse, also frequently used to refer to the window or program allowing for such. Man, we're getting technical. Okay, so if the same number we saw before pop up here, that's a bad sign. Oh? Osawa stared at the monitor. Kajiwara pressed enter and a black window covered in white alphanumeric characters appeared. What the heck? Kajiwara muttered under his breath. Wait, what's going on? Osawa, oh, what the heck? Kajiwara muttered. What's going on? Explain simply so I can understand. Faking an email address is simple enough, but the typical person wouldn't be able to fake an IP. It's very likely that these emails were sent from another computer inside this house. Oh my gosh. Was it our wife? No way, it's our wife. Osawa had to stifle a gasp. The emails had been sent from his own house at around 11 o'clock that morning. Since Osawa had sent them himself, that left only one possible culprit. No way! Suddenly his phone rang, nearly startling him out of his seat. Makino's name showed on the incoming call display. Osawa quickly picked up. Is there an update on the emergency board meeting? He blurted out. Makino's voice was quiet and subdued. I think Makino is also Ai's dad, which is a problem. I tried pulling whatever strings I could, but to no avail. I'm afraid holding a board meeting today just won't be possible. The phone fell from Osawa's hand. His only possible means of saving Maria was now gone. Let's arrest our wife and use her as leverage. Can't just stop over there, though.